So a quick introduction about me. My name is Abhishek and I'll be the trainer for this course. Okay, and let us just simply jump into Selenium. So I'm expecting that everyone has a basic knowledge about Selenium, what this is, and say how it works. That is my thing, right? I would be covering that part, right? What this is. So first thing, this say Selenium, right? What is Selenium? Selenium is something that allows us to interact with the web pages, right? It automates browsers. How it automates browsers? Now there are a lot of things that we say do in a browser, right? For example, opening a website, opening a new tab, right? Say going to some random website, for example, google.com, right? So now these are the actions we do manually. Now with the help of Selenium, we would be performing those actions with the help of a code, right? So we would be automating those actions. For example, going to google.com, looking up for say hello, right? Then hitting enter and we're getting these results, right? So all these things would be done via Selenium instead of us doing those actions, right? So as on this official website, we can see this as well, right? Now working with Selenium, right? There are a lot of things. Now let us just first cover some frequently asked questions that you guys may have in your mind before starting off with the complete course, right? So over here in FAQs, we have come up with few questions that everyone asks us, right? For example, what all will be taught in the course? See, we would be covering Java, WebDriver, frameworks, Maven, and TestNG, Jenkins, and Grid. So all these things would be covered in this course. And main question, will I get access to the videos? See, yes, all the videos would be provided to you. And next question, do you record current sessions? Yes, this session is also getting recorded. You will be getting access to this current video as well, so that in case if you miss out something, you don't have to worry about that. Okay, I missed out something, now what to do? You will be having a video to watch so that you would be able to work on it, right? You would be able to watch that later. Any number of times you can watch that, right? Now main question, is Java required? Yes, Java is required. But the main question is, I don't know programming, right? There are many people that those who don't know programming, right? So I'm just assuming that you guys know about if conditions, for loop, while loop, and basics about functions and how to use variables. Okay. Now, next thing, I need help in my project or I want to clear my interview. See, for starting off with Selenium, in the next 10 days, you would be able to work with Selenium, right? In the next 10 lectures, you will be able to work with some Selenium completely. But the thing is that to work on a project, right, or to clear an interview, it needs at least 6 to 8 weeks of practice, right? Now, what is the duration of this course? So the duration is 25 to 30 hours. It depends. Sometimes it takes 27 hours. Sometimes it takes say 30 hours or more as well, right? It all depends on you guys learning curve. Okay. Next thing is, say how we have divided this course. So this course is divided into two parts. First half is WebDriver, where we would be learning all the basics about Selenium, how we would be working with it, how we would be working with TestNG, how we would be configuring the grid configuration, right? Then in the next half, we would be working on with the project, right? So in project, we would be going with the end-to-end project, a live project, so that you guys would be able to learn more clearly, like how the things are going around, how do we manage problems, right? So there are a lot of things would be covered in this course. Now, in case if you guys need access to live project, you guys can go through with this link. The link will be shared in the chat. You guys can see this link. You can keep it, right? Now, coming back to syllabus, a bit introduction about Selenium, what this is. I already told you about Selenium that it automates browsers. right? But what is the core? What all things does it do, right? So see, I'm scrolling down, I'm interacting with pages. This is what Selenium is. This allows us to do all those things with the help of a code, right? Now, whenever we are working with Selenium, Java is not the only language, but yes, we would be working with Java for Selenium, right? If we scroll down here in the downloads section, you would find that there are a lot of other languages supported as well. For example, Ruby, Java. Java is the mainstream, then Python, C Sharp, and JavaScript, right? In this current course, we would be going with Java, right? Now, for working with Java, what all things do we need, right? Say, do I need to have deep knowledge about Java, right? No. We will be covering each and everything, whatever is required in this course. We will be covering all that part, right? So all you need is something to be installed, that is JDK, right? So over here, let us start with JDK. Let us start with the installations part, what all things we need, right? So let us just make a list first. Say for installation, first of all, we would be needing JDK to be installed. Then after installing JDK, we need Eclipse. Now why do we need Eclipse? So that we can write code, right? So we need an IDE. Eclipse is the IDE that we would be using. It is free to use and it is easy to use as well, right? Next thing, say anything else do we need? Right now these are the only two things that we need, and let us start with JDK first. So how to download and install JDK? Download and installation of JDK is very easy, and to be specific, we would be going with JDK 8, right? Now you guys might be having question in your mind that there are a lot other versions of JDK you might have come up, say you might have seen earlier, right? For example, the latest version is JDK 14, right? Why not JDK 14? Why JDK 8, right? So this is one of the major questions being asked to us, and the answer to this is here. So let us just do one thing. Let us just search for something, Oracle Jdk Roadmap, right? So here JDK is something which is being developed by Oracle, right? Oracle Corporation. So if we go there in the first link, Oracle Java SE Support Roadmap, and it has been updated on January 15th, 2020. If we scroll down here, as you guys can see that here, these are the versions released by Oracle, right? Now notice something clearly here, that a version of JDK, right? Here, JDK 8 is supported until December 2030, right? On the other hand, there is no other version supported till this particular timeline. There is one another version which is supported for long term, that is JDK 11, which is also supported till September 2026, right? So we would always prefer something more stable rather than preferring something unstable. Now for example, these versions, on the left hand you would see a lot of versions. They have announced 15 as well. Now 14 came up in March this year, right? And it would be out of support in September this year, right? In September they would be coming up with JDK 15 that would be supported till March 21, right? So we do not want anything that is unstable, right? Because we are not developing new softwares. We are already working on something that has already been developed, right? Selenium library is already developed. We would be simply working on it, right? So what we would be doing is we would be simply using JDK 8 only, nothing else, right? So for that, what we need to do is that we just need to look up for something JDK 8 download, right? Now the first link on Google you will be getting this, that is Java SE Development Kit 8. Go there and scroll down. Now you would see a lot of operating systems supported, right? Now all you have to do is that choose the operating system that you are using. For example, in case if you are using Linux, for example Ubuntu, Fedora, Red Hat, right? Or say Zorin OS. So there are a lot of Linux distributions. You need to download one of these files accordingly, right? Next thing, in case you guys are using Macintosh, you can simply download this DMG file, right? Or in case if you're using Solaris, then you can download one of these files. As I'm using Windows, I need to download one of these files. Now there would be a confusion which file I should download, right? For that, let us just see something. So all you have to do is that go to my computer and the shortcut is Windows and E key, right? Windows key and E key all together. You will be taken to this particular page. Right click on this PC or my PC in Windows XP. Right click here, go to properties, and here you would be taken to this kind of page. On Windows XP, a similar page would be opening, not the same but a similar kind of, which would be telling us something, that is system type. Now this is common across all the versions of Windows. If it is 32-bit, it may not be showing you, but if it is 64-bit, it will be showing you here. For example, my system is 64-bit and my processor is also 64-bit. So it is telling me 64-bit operating system, x64 based processor, right? We are done here. Now this is telling me that I need to download 64-bit version of JDK, right? In case if you guys are using older version, that is 32-bit, right? You can simply download this particular file. This does not mean that Windows 10 would not be on 32-bit. It can be on 32-bit as well. So download accordingly. In case if you're not sure about which version to download, then you can simply download the Windows x86 version, that is for 32-bit. That will work on 64-bit as well, right? So downloading is easy. Click on this file, check this option, that is I've reviewed the say terms, right? Click on download. Now it will be taking you to a page which will be asking you for credentials. No need to worry. You can simply create a free account here. Creation of Oracle account is totally free. They do not ask credit cards. So you can simply create your account here and you can sign in. Once you're signed in, once you've verified your email ID and you're signed in, the download would start automatically. As you guys can see that my download has started. Now, after downloading it, the installation is very simple. Click on next, 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 yes, 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 and in the end, finish or close, right? Once installed, you would be getting to see something like this here in your program files. In case if you have downloaded say 64-bit version, then you would be able to see this here in program files, Java. In major of the systems, you will be able to see this path. In case if you're not able to find Java path here, no need to worry. Go back to C drive, look up for program files x86, go here and look up for the folder named Java. So out of these two locations, your folder would be there, your Java would be installed one of these locations, right? Now this is the location where my Java is installed, right? Where my JDK is installed. Now there are two directories, that is JDK say 1.8.0 underscore 191 and my JRE, right? Now what we need to do is that out of these two directories, simply get inside JDK, then get inside bin directory. Once you're inside bin directory, no need to worry, simply copy this path. Now notice this thing what I'm doing, right? Now what you have to do is that open start menu and start typing environment variables, right? And choose the option edit the system environment variables. Now you would be taken to this particular page where you have to click on environment variables. Now what you have to do is that in the lower section, right, scroll down and look up for the path variable. For example, this variable. Double click here and you would be taken to this particular page. Now you may not be able to see this kind of window. No need to worry. In older version of Windows, this looks something like this, right? Now, if you are able to see something like this, don't worry. Select, simply click here once, do not double click, then hit End key on your keyboard, then provide a semicolon, right? And why it is not allowing me to type? Just a second. Okay, just a second, guys. It is not allowing me to edit. Okay, so right now it is not allowing me to edit it because of the text size limit. But what you have to do is that you just need to simply say in the ending, provide a semicolon if it is not there, paste that path that you have copied and click on OK. Right now I'm not clicking on OK. Reason is that my path is already added. Now in case if you have the latest version of Windows, for example Windows 8.1 and Windows 10, that shows up something like this. All you have to do is that go to the ending, click on New, paste that path that you copied and click on OK. It is done. First thing is done. Next thing is very important. Click on New here, provide the variable name Java underscore home, all in caps lock. It should be in caps locks, otherwise, or it should be in uppercase, otherwise the major of the programs won't be able to recognize it and you'll get a lot of issues, right? So here Java underscore home, all in caps lock, paste that path, but now remove the /bin. Click on OK and you're done. For example, I've already did it here and this is the thing, right? Now once you're done, you can click on OK. In case if you're using an office machine and you're not able to get into this part, no need to worry. What you have to do is that open start menu and here look up for environment variables, but now choose the option edit the environment variables for your account. Now you will be taken to this page directly. Do the same thing in the path but in the upper section, right? Edit the text, you'll be able to see this thing. Now I can provide that particular text, semicolon, paste that path, click on OK, right? I'm not clicking on OK because my system variable is already set, right? Next thing, create a new variable here, Java underscore home, all in uppercase, and provide that path, but don't forget to remove the /bin, right? Now this is done, everything is done. Now all you have to do is that cross check whether JDK is installed successfully or not, right? So Windows run, Windows R, type cmd and hit enter. Now type a command java space hyphen version. Hit enter and you will be getting this particular prompt. Java version you're getting, runtime hotspot, everything you're getting here. This means that JDK is installed successfully, right? Now once done, you can move forward. Now the next thing is installing Eclipse. Now how would you be installing Eclipse, right? It is simple. Simply go to eclipse.org, right? Now on this page you can click on download. Here we can download it. It will be taking a little bit time for the download to start as they usually take, and click on download 64-bit. it automatically detects your machine. In case if it is not detecting, then you can try 32-bit version as well. Right? Now over here, it is taking a bit time. Let us just click on download. Now it will be downloading finally. And as you guys can see that the installer has downloaded, and it will be downloaded in a moment actually. So once the download is complete, what's next? Installation of Eclipse is also easy. It's not a tedious task, right? Let me just show you the part because I have already installed Eclipse. So here, Eclipse installer by Oomph, right? Now, Nidhi has a question. Yes, Nidhi, feel free to unmute yourself and ask. I'm not able to hear you, Nidhi. Hello? You can ask here in chat as well. Yeah, I'm coming to that point. Don't worry. So here, now, in case if you don't want to get into say technicalities, simply click on Eclipse IDE for Java developers. The moment you click here, it will be asking you for the JDK path, right? Choose the part that is this JDK version, right? Click on install. In case if you don't want to install the latest version, that I would suggest as well, simply click back, click here, click on advanced mode, right? And click on no in case if you don't want to keep the installer. Now here, this is the main thing. See, Eclipse IDE for Java developers, that is okay. But here in the product version, you can actually choose which version you would want to install, right? It tells you which version you want to install, right? For example, I would suggest you installing Eclipse Photon or Oxygen. This was a bit stable, right? In case if you would want to go with the latest version, you can simply go with 2020-03. This is stable, right? And 2020-06 is say a beta version, so I would not suggest you installing this particular version, right? And you can choose any of the versions you would want to. Depending on your machine, for example, in case if you're using older machines, right? Many of you would be using older machines. No need to worry. Do not download the latest version. Simply go and download Eclipse Luna. It is very stable, very fast, and we do not do anything as such in the other versions. So simply download Eclipse Luna. This is very fast for older machines. Even I used to use this one. I have recently upgraded to the latest version, right? So choose the Eclipse Luna, click on next and install it. Do not choose anything here. Next, 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 and you are done in the ending, right? So you can choose the path here in case if you want to install it in a different directory. But yes, make sure that you remember the path where it has been installed. So copy this path, right? It will be showing you the path in the ending, right? So make sure that root install folder is with you, right? Root install folder is very important because there is no shortcut created for Eclipse by default. So you need to create shortcut yourself, right? Now I won't be installing it. I am clicking on cancel. All you have to do is that click on next and click on finish. Then it will take around 5 to 10 minutes depending on your internet connection and system's performance. It usually takes 5 to 10 minutes. It may take more time as well, right? And installation would be done. Now after installing Eclipse, what's next, right? Now the main part comes. For Eclipse, I have created a shortcut here, but you would be seeing something like this here on the screen, right? When it starts, okay? So just a second. Yeah. So this screen, this is a Eclipse Ide Launcher. what this is. So see, now before we start working on Eclipse, it asks us for a directory where we can keep our stuff, right? Where we have to keep our stuff actually. So all the important things, all the projects would be kept in that directory. So let us just choose the directory. For example, I'll go to my A drive. In the batches directory, I'll simply create a new directory, right? So what is the directory name? Say Selenium hyphen say 2020 hyphen 05, right? I'll hit enter. Now as you guys can see that this directory is empty right now. I'll copy this path and I'll provide this path here, right? I'll click on launch. Now as you guys can see that Eclipse is starting and immediately it created a folder .metadata. This is the folder where Eclipse keeps all its important files, right? Now workspace has been created. We would be creating projects inside it. We would be writing code inside it, right? So it will take a little bit time to start, and let us just wait for this to be started. Okay, once started, it shows you a screen something like this, right? Now what you have to do here is simply click on close on the welcome tab. We don't want to see the screen, right? Now this screen won't be shown to us later on anytime, right? Now here on the screen, there are a lot of things, right? So let us just see what all things are here. First thing is this project explorer, right? And just a second. So first thing is this project explorer. What is this? What this section does? We can see all the projects listed here. Whatever projects we have created inside our workspace would be shown up here, right? Next section is this. This section is the code section. All the code we write, right, goes here. There is another section, that is this section. Now this section shows us something, all the information regarding the current project. For example, execution status. If there are some problems in the code, then it also shows us the problems, right? All the things related to the project, right? So now this is done. Now there is another thing as well, that is outline and task list. We don't need them, so we can simply close them so that we can maximize the space, the code area, right? Now installation of Eclipse is done and installation of JDK is done. Now the next thing is starting to work with the project, right? How to create your first project? Right click here on the project explorer, go to new, go to project, right? And here choose the Java project. Click on next, and here it will be asking you for few things such as project name and some other things as well. So let us just provide the project name, that is day 1, right? And I'll click on finish, right? Now day 1 has been created, but it is asking me to say switch perspective. Now what is this, right? Let me just choose this option for remember my decision and click on open perspective. Now let us just discuss about perspective. See, whenever we write code or whenever we do perform something on Eclipse, it is related to some perspective. For example, for working with Java, there is a special perspective for it, that is Java perspective. There is another perspective, that is Java EE, that we do not need. So that is why it shifted me to Java perspective. Now what is perspective? We would be covering this in the coming part, right? Let us just first work on this particular code, right? So here we are done creating a project. Now as you guys can see that in the folder, day 1 is created. In day 1, there are few folders and files. For example, the settings of this particular project, the bin folder, the source folder, the class path and the project file, right? So these are the things. Now whenever we write code inside the project, whenever we want to write code inside the project, that file is kept inside source folder, right? So let us just create a file and let us just see what happens, right? So how to create a new class file? Right click on source, go to new, then choose the option class, right? Now here it would be asking you for the class name, right? So say I'll specify the class name as introduction, right? I'll click on finish. I just provided the class name introduction. The moment I click on finish, a file would be created, introduction.java. If you go back to this directory, you would be able to see in the source folder introduction.java has been created. But if we go back, if we see the bin directory, there is introduction.class has been created as well, right? Now what is the difference between a bin file and a source file? Source file is the file that we can see, read and work on, right? For example, if I open it here, I can see the same text written over there in Eclipse, right? Nothing different, only the font color and size is different, right? We can close it. Now over here, there is another file in the bin directory with the same name but a different extension. Right click over this, edit it with Notepad++, and you would see something. You're not able to see anything inside it apart from a basic information that you can see, say introduction.java, line number table, local variable table. So there are few things, but nothing as such that you can read normally, right? So what is the difference between these two files, right? The major difference is that Java file is the source file which you can read and work on, but whenever something needs to be executed, source file gets converted into .class file, and this is the binary file which will get executed in the ending. Now this binary file is independent of the machine you're using. The same class file would work on, say, Macintosh, Linux, Windows, Solaris, any platform that Jdk supports, right? This file would work there, right? Now over here, coming back to the project, now this is done. Now how to write our first, say, code, right? How to work with this. Now let us just do one thing. Let us just try printing something, right? For example, say hello world, right? How to do that? Now whenever we are inside a class, we need to have something to be executed. Now by default, a method is there that is named as main. You can call it method or you can call it a function, right? So main method, right? Now here I'll create a main method. So here my main method is created. Now you guys may have noticed something. I just typed main and it did a lot of work for me, right? For example, it created a whole, say, method for me. How? Right? Simply type in main, then hit control and space altogether. You'll get a suggestion that is main method. Simply double click here and the method is created, right? Now method is created. Now what about printing something? How would I be able to print out something, right? So there is a command named as system.out.println which would allow me to print something, right? For example, I can provide the text that I would want to print. For example, say hello world, right? Now I would like to execute this code and I would like to see the output. Simply click this run button and it will be asking you for something that is save and launch, right? Now you can choose the option always save resources before launching and click on OK. Once done, you would see a console output here which is telling you hello world, right? So this is what we wanted to see, and this is what we are able to see as well, right? So this is how we can print something here, right? Now coming back to syllabus, so what all things were done with, right? Introduction, course FAQs, history of Selenium and its future is not covered because everyone already knows about it. What is the history of Selenium and what is its future, right? And say why is Java important? Importance of Java is covered. Java docs for Selenium. I'll be coming into that particular point. Next thing is introduction to Java, installation of JDK, installation of Eclipse, first Java program. These things are done. Concept of class file is done. Concept of jar file would be covered in a moment, right? Now, say coming back to this, that is Selenium, right? Now, to start working with Selenium, we need to download few things. That is the Selenium jar, right? So here in the Java section, you can choose you can see the option download. Click on it and a file would be downloaded. For example, this file, right? Simply click here on start download and it is done. I'll come back to this in a moment. Now you have downloaded a file, right? Now whenever someone provides you some library, they also have that API docs, right? We call them Java docs. Now these document tell us that what all things we can do with it, what is inside it and how we can work with those things, right? For example, I would want to deal with Chrome browser, right? So here I can see something related to Chrome here, right? Say Chrome driver, right? I would want to deal with say Firefox browser, right? So I can see something for Firefox here as well, Firefox driver, right? I would want to deal with Edge browser, right? So Edge is also here, so Edge driver, right? Now it depends that which say browser you would want to deal with. We can deal with it, right? Now over here, as we have downloaded a file, and if we open this zip file, you can see that there are few files, right? And here, this is the file that is Selenium 3.141.59 jar, right? If you get inside it, there are some other jars as well. Now, what is a jar file in the first instance, right? You might be having a question in your mind that what is a jar file? Now the shortcut is jar, but the expanded name is Java archived resource, right? Now what does this mean, right? So jar means that all this project, okay, say going back to Eclipse, this project compressed into a file which usually contains the class files, not the source files. We need to choose those source files if we would want to, right? Now, for example, this is the jar that we have downloaded, right? Now, question is, say how would we be able to use this jar, right? How would we be able to use this jar in our project, right? See, whenever we need to deal with our Selenium, we need to add this jar to our project so that we can work with it. So the first thing first, simply extract this particular Selenium, right? So in my downloads, compressed Selenium, just a second. Yeah, this is downloaded here, right? First thing first, click on extract to. You may be able to see other options as well in case if you are not using this software. I'm using WinRAR. In case if you want to download it, you can go to rarlab.com and there is an official version. and you can download it here, right? I can provide the link as well. So link is provided in the chat. And now coming back to this, you can download it and install it. Now to extract the content, simply choose a directory where you would want to extract it. For example, I would like to extract all this content inside my batch directory, inside a folder named jars/selenium. Right? So over here, once this is extracted, we can go to that directory, right? A drive, batches, Selenium 2020-05, then jars, and this is the file that you need, right? Now there are few files, Selenium nodeps.jar, and there are some libs, right? What you have to do is that go here, right click on the project, go to properties, right? So right click, now here go to properties and open this part. Now you would be able to see a lot of information regarding your project, right? Simply go to Java build path, then go to libraries, click on add external jars. Now you're here, move to that directory where you have kept all your jars, right? For example, I have kept my jars here in the Selenium directory, right? First thing, open these two jars, right? Then add external jars, go to libs and add all these jars. See, adding libs jars is very important. All the jars inside libs folder are very important. Reason, Selenium depends on these jars, right? Click on apply and close and you're done. Now, as you guys can see that I have added Selenium jars, and immediately after adding, I got a new line here which is telling me referenced libraries. If I expand it, I can see all the jars that I added, right? For example, Selenium 3.141.59, which is the latest version of Selenium. If we expand it, you guys can see a lot of things. You can see all the things related to Selenium, right? For example, Chrome, Edge, Firefox. These are the main three versions that three browsers that we would be dealing with. Other browsers are also supported. For example, Opera, Internet Explorer, right? Everything is supported here. Now you may want to know that which browser is supported and which is not. No need to worry. Go to the official website of Selenium, right? That is selenium.dev, and here go to download section, scroll down and look up for something named as browsers. Expand it and you can see a list of browsers which are supported. Firefox, Internet Explorer, Safari, Opera, Chrome and Edge, right? So these are the browsers which are supported, right? And Safari and Opera are a bit unstable with Selenium. So I would suggest you guys to use Chrome and Firefox as mainstream. In case if you're bound to use any other browser, you can use another browser as well, right? Now a bit basics about Java programming, right? So coming back to Eclipse, and we would start writing some code. For example, I would like to add two numbers. How would I be able to do that? First thing is initializing those, right? So I'll have two variables created, integer a, which is having a value 10, integer b, which is having a value 14, right? To add these up, integer c, a third variable which sees a plus b, right? Very simple. We would want to print this data, system.out.println, and you guys may have noticed something. I again used a shortcut. What is that shortcut? SYSO and hit control space, right? Again, SYSO, hit control space. You'll get the system.out.println written in Eclipse, right? Now provide the variable name you would want to print. For example, C. Now run this code and you would see 24 being printed over here. Right? This is done. Adding up two variables is done. We can try dividing as well. So divide, right? Control F11 is the shortcut key to run the code from the keyboard. In case if you don't want to click here, you can simply hit Control F11. 10 divided by 14 gives some say decimal value, so by default it will be giving us 0. You can multiply as well, so Control F11 again and 140. So this is giving us correct results. Right? Now this is done. What's next? Right? So let us just go back and see what's left. Right? And we are done with these things. Right? Now over here we are done with almost say many things. Now about debugging. Now whenever we write a code, we may face a issue, right? For example, A is 10 but B is 0. If I multiply it, I can see 0 getting printed. If I divide it, I'll see a error, right? 10 divided by 0, it gives a arithmetic exception. Now you may come up with exceptions, right? Now there are no errors in Java, there are exceptions. Exceptions mean that you have say you have written something wrong in the code, you have done something wrong in the code, right? For example, here I am trying to divide 10 by 0, which is impossible, right? No one can do that. So it is just giving me exception that java.lang.arithmetic exception and the error is divide by 0. Where the error is? It is at introduction.main introduction.java line number 6. If you go there, you can see that I'm trying to divide 10 by 0, right? I got it. Now over here, how we can debug it? See, this is very simple code. This is just a 5 to 6 lines of code, right? But we won't be having 5 to 6 lines of code. We would be having 5 to 6,000 lines of code. In that case, it becomes very hard for everyone to look up for the issue. Now what you can do is, you can say put up some checkpoints, right? That you can say see that what data is there, right? For example, how to add a checkpoint in the code, right? Now I would want to set a checkpoint at line number 4, 5 and 6. What I did, simply double click before the number, right? Double click here and a checkpoint would be added. I double clicked here again and the checkpoint has gone. So I'm just adding up the checkpoints. Now there are 3 checkpoints which are added. Let us just remove the 5th one and let us just have 2 checkpoints, right? Now to debug the code, you don't need to click on run. Otherwise this will execute the project normally. Simply click on this debug button, right? There is a bug on the button. Click on it and here again it is asking me for perspective switch, right? Now the question is, what is perspective? Perspective is something which allows us to see the things related to that view. For example, right now we are debugging the code. So here I am getting the debugging view. Now right section is very important here. Do not close anything here. For example, my code has paused over here because I provided a checkpoint here, right? Now here you guys can see that this is highlighted in green color, right? Now the code has executed till this particular point. All the lines before line number 4 are executed. Line number 4 is not executed yet, right? Now we can see the things, what things are there. Right now there are no variables, there are no arguments, so it is simply empty. Now sorry, I would like to move one step forward, right? Then what needs to be done? If you guys see something, there is an option of step over, F6 key. hit F6 key on your keyboard. You'll move to the next line. Do not hit F5 key. I'll tell you the difference in the coming lectures. Why F5, why not F5 and why F6, right? The work is similar, but you have to go to F6 key. Now here, as you guys can see that line number 4 is executed, 5th is paused. If you notice something in the right section, we are able to see the value for the variable A. A is 10 and you can see that here, right? B is not executed here. Line number 5 is not executed yet. So you will be seeing this, that there is no B variable. Hit F6 again. Line number 5 is executed. You'll get a variable data, that is B equals to 0. Now about C. C is not calculated, so it is empty. A is calculated, right? A is 10. B is calculated. B is 0. These two have the values. We are able to see those values. Now what's happening over here? 10 is divided by 0, which is wrong. The moment I hit F6, we'll get into exception, and we got an exception here, introduction.java line number 6. Now we got to know from that particular point that there is an exception. Again, to debug it, there is a keyboard shortcut as well. Simply hit F11 key on your keyboard and it will start debugging, right? Now here the code has paused. In case you wanted to see something here, then you wanted to move to the next checkpoint. Hit F8 key. It will simply move you to the next checkpoint, right? Now next checkpoint has reached. You can see all the values of A and B. Even if we did not go through B manually, the code went through that, right? So it has paused over here. Int C is equal to A plus A divided by B. Now the problem is here, right? If I try to move to the next line, say if I hit F8 or F6, I'll hit F8. You guys can see that code stopped executing, right? So over here, I got to know that the problem was here. I can see the values here directly in the variables as well, right? Whatever value we have, we would be able to see that value in the variables section as well, right? So this is how we debug the code, and this is how we write a very basic script. We can write a very basic code for Java, right? Now in the next lecture, what all things we would be doing, right? So we would be starting off with Selenium in the next lecture. Basically, we did not start off with Selenium today. I just gave an introduction about Java, that how we can start working with Java, right? In the next lecture, we would be dealing with 3 different browsers, that is Chrome browser, Firefox browser and Internet Explorer browser. We may add up some other browser as well in the later time, right? So over here, what all other things that we would be covering in the next lecture? Say concept of object-oriented programming, right? And say we would be creating some objects. We would be learning about static and non-static, basics of drivers, right? We would be learning about basic drivers, and what is a system class static, right? What is the concept of a constructor and how we can use the constructor. So we are done with this particular part. Now I have an exercise for you guys. What you have to do is that for just basic things, right? And I think so again it stopped working. Yeah, it is stuck here. So what you guys have to do is that simply write some programs for loop, right? And say another program for if condition. We'll be covering these things in the next lecture, right? But I would want you guys to practice these things. No worries, in case if you're not able to recall them, we would be covering them in the next lecture, right? This was for this lecture. Thank you. Any queries, guys? Okay, Nidhi has a question. Now one thing guys, whenever you guys are asking a question, make sure that you're asking it to everyone, not me specifically. The benefit is that in case anyone else also having the same question, he or she would get to know what the question is, right? Now the question is, What if we update JDK and Eclipse older version to new version? Does old project workspace get affected to do this? See, I would not suggest updating JDK. Do not update JDK. JDK is stable. Download JDK 8 and use it. In case if you have say updated Eclipse, right? There is no worry. The older project would work. This will be upgraded to the latest version of workspace. For example, if you guys are using right now Eclipse Luna, right? And you upgrade it to the latest version in another machine or on the same machine, say Eclipse 2020-03, right? No need to worry. The older workspace would be upgraded to the latest version automatically, right? It will be giving you a prompt that the workspace is written in older format and you can upgrade it. You can downgrade the workspace as well. That is also not an issue. In case if you are say working with the project, in case if you are not importing the workspace into another version of Eclipse, right? You're simply exporting the project and using that project in another version. There will be no prompt. You can simply start working with it directly. Next thing about the JDK version, right? See, we are working with JDK 8, right? This is the basis of all the other latest versions. Even JDK 14 is somewhere dependent on JDK 8 as well. So the code style is completely same. The things that we are working with are JDK 8 compatible. So they would already be compatible with JDK 14 as well. But again, I would suggest you guys to use JDK 8 only, uninstall any other versions of JDK 8 apart from JDK 11, right? Make sure that you're using the updated version of JDK 8 or JDK 11. But again, I would suggest you using JDK 8 only. This is frequently getting updated. In case if you're worrying that JDK 8 is old, no, it is not old. If we see here in the last page, you guys can see that it was last updated. Just a second, where it gives the prompt. It is not telling us here. Yeah, April 16, 2019. Okay. So they frequently keep on updating the version. Do not worry about it, right? One of the last versions was came up in October or September. I don't exactly remember, but they come up with the stability releases for these. So no need to worry that you would want to be updated. Be updated, but not on JDK because JDK is very unstable if you use the other versions. Okay. Any other queries, guys? No. No need to do anything. Older project would work absolutely fine. In case if there are some problems, you can say check the class paths or you can again set the class paths.